Hello viewers, good morning. Myself I am K. Bhaskar. I am working as assistant professor in Department of Chemistry at SRR Government Arts and Science College, Karimnagar. In this video presentation, I am going to discuss about the topic that is halogen compounds. These halogen compounds are not available in the nature. They do not occur in the nature, and these are purely synthetic compounds. These are very reactive. We can prepare variety of organic compounds from these halogen compounds. That's why these halogen compounds are treated as a very good important tool in the hands of organic synthetic chemists, because from these halogen compounds we can prepare variety of organic compounds, right? It is an important tool in the hands of synthetic chemists, right? Coming to the learning outcomes, these are the learning outcomes. By the end of the video presentation, we will learn about the introduction to the halogen compounds and how to name these halogen compounds, isomerism involved in this, and classification of halogen compounds, and also finally the properties of halogen compounds. And before going into this topic, here is a question for you: why to study this topic, that is halogen compounds? What are the uses of halogen compounds? Generally these halogen compounds are used in various sectors. We use them as a solvent, and we use these halogen compounds as pesticides, insecticides, herbicides, and we also use these halogen compounds in polymerization to prepare variety of polymers which we use in day-to-day life. And of course these halogen compounds are also used as a refrigerants, that is freons, which is used as a chemical to which is used as a chemical in refrigerants to cool the substances, right? And also these halogen compounds are used in a medicinal field also, right? So you can see here, these are the variety of uses for these halogen compounds. We use halogen compounds as pesticides. For example, dichlorophene trichloroethane, which is also a shortcut, we call it as a DDT. This is a pesticide which is a halogen compound. We use it as a pesticide to control the growth of pests which are very harmful to the agriculture sector, right? At the same time, another compound, that is 1,2 dibromoethane. This is also used as a pesticide which is also a halogen compound. We use these halogen compounds as insecticides, fungicides, herbicides, that is dichlorophenyl acetic acid, right? Dichlorophenoxyacetic acid is used as a herbicide. We use these halogen compounds as solvents in many organic reactions, that is dichloromethane, carbon tetrachloride, right? In medicine we use these halogen compounds as a chloroform. It is used as a anesthesia, right? In polymers, in preparing polymers, for example Teflon, we use the tetrafluoroethane as the monomer, Teflon, right? Another one, that is vinyl chloride, which we use as a monomer for preparing polyvinyl chloride, which we use in our day-to-day life. In refrigerator we use these fluorochlorocarbons as the freons as a coolant in refrigerants. Of course we use called sucralose as a sweetener, which is also a halogen compound, right? These are the uses of halogen compounds. since these halogen compounds have much importance both in various sectors as well as in synthetic organic chemistry, therefore as a chemist we need to discuss the halogen compounds, right? What are halogen compounds? Halogen compounds are nothing but these are the compounds derived from the hydrocarbons, you see here, which we get by the replacement of hydrogen with the halo group. We will get the halogen compounds. So halogen compounds are regarded as the derivatives of halo derivatives of hydrocarbons, right? If the halogen derivatives of alkanes, here the halogen derivatives of alkanes are called as alkyl halides. These are alkyl halides, and you see here when we replace the hydrogen atom with the halo group in the alkenes, we will get the alkynyl halides. Similarly, these are the alkynyl halides, right? In this way, by the replacement of a hydrogen atom in the alkanes, we will get the alkyl halides, and the halo derivatives of alkenes are called as alkynyl halides. The halo derivatives of alkanes are called as alkynyl halides, right? And coming to the nomenclature, how to name these halogen compounds. Generally, the functional group is nothing but, I have already told you, the functional group is nothing but the group which defines the characteristic properties of the compound is called functional group. That is due to the presence of the group in a compound. If the compound gets characteristic properties, then that group is called as a functional group. Here our functional group is a halogen functional group, that is any halide group, that is chloro, fluoro, bromo, iodo. These halogens functional group are treated as a substituent and written in the prefix according to the IUPAC nomenclature. According to the IUPAC nomenclature, we write the name of these halogen compounds by treating this halo group as the substituent. Here this X is treated as the substituent. This is treated as the substituent, and written at the prefix, right? That is haloalkanes. The name is haloalkanes. You see here, this compound is having 2 carbons, therefore it is eth, and it is having chloro functional group, that is chloroethane. And similarly, this is having 3 carbons, that is propane, that is chloropropane, and this is butane, that is chlorobutane. You see here this compound, here the chloro group is at the second position. If you give the numbering 1, 2, 3, here the chloro group is at the second carbon, therefore it is called as 2-chloro, and having 3 carbons in the main chain, therefore it is called as 2-chloropropane. Similarly, if you give the name for this compound, first we have to select the main chain, right, having the substituent, that is it is having 3 carbon atoms, and if you give the numbering, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and it is having 1-chloro, 2-methyl as the substituent with main chain containing 3 carbon atoms, that is 1-chloro, 2-methyl propane. This is the name for this compound. In this way, the general name of these halogen compounds based on IUPAC nomenclature is haloalkanes. We treat this halogen functional group as the substituent, right? And coming to the another name, that is common name. In general, according to the common name, we name these halogen compounds as alkyl halide. This is ethyl halide because this is the ethyl alkyl group. This is the propyl alkyl group, therefore it is called as a propyl chloride. This is the N-butyl chloride. This is the N-butyl chloride. This is the N-propyl chloride, right? Similarly, this is the isopropyl group. This is the isopropyl group, therefore it is called as isopropyl chloride. This is having 4 carbon atoms, that is butyl, that is isobutyl group. This is known as isobutyl chloride, right? In this way we give the name for these halogen compounds as haloalkanes according to the IUPAC nomenclature, and according to the common name we give the name as alkyl halides. Coming to the classific isomerism, these halogen compounds exhibit 2 types of isomerism, that is a chain isomerism, another one is positional isomerism. We know isomerism is nothing but this is a concept or the phenomenon of the existence of more than 2 compounds having same chemical formula and exhibit different properties. Those are called as isomers, and the phenomenon is called as isomerism. What are chain isomers? These are the isomers having different chain. You see here, in this main chain it is having 4 carbon atoms. In this the main chain is having only 3 carbon atoms. Here the chain is different. Here this is called as a butyl chloride, this is called as isobutyl chloride, right? So here the chain is different. This is called as 1-chlorobutane, this is called as 1-chloro-2-methyl propane. Here the chain is different. Those 2 compounds are having, these 2 compounds are having same chemical formula, but they differ in the chain, therefore they are called as chain isomers. Coming to the another isomerism, that is positional isomerism, you see here both of them are having same chain, that is 3 carbon atoms in the main chain, but here there is a difference in the position of the substituent. Here the substituent is at the first carbon, here the substituent is at the second carbon, right? Yes or no? Yes. This is the 1-chloropropane and this compound is the 2-chloropropane. Here there is a difference in the position of the functional group, that is chlorofunctional group. Those are called as a positional isomers. In shortcut we can say that these halogen compounds exhibit isomerism, that is chain isomerism, positional isomerism. Coming to the classification, depending upon the nature of the hydrocarbon, the halogen compounds are classified into 2 types. One is aromatic halo compounds, another one is aliphatic haloalkanes. In this the nature of hydrocarbon is of aliphatic in nature. In this the nature of hydrocarbon is of aromatic in nature. You see here the chloro group is directly attached to the aryl group, which is of aromatic in nature, right? And you should not confuse here. You can see here we should not call it as a aryl halogen compound. This is not a aromatic halo compound, but it is correctly called as aryl substituted halo compound, because in this the chlorofunctional group is not directly attached to the aryl ring, but it is directly attached to the CH2 group. This is of aliphatic in nature, having aromatic substituent, right? So we should correctly call it as a aryl substituted halo compound, right? And based on the number of halogens present in the molecule, the halogen compounds are classified into various types. This is the mono halogen derivative, this is the dihalogen derivative, this is the trihalogen derivative, this is the tetrahalogen derivative, right? This is the chloromethane, this is dichloromethane, this is chloroform, that is trichloromethane, this is tetrachloromethane, which is also called as carbon tetrachloride. We use this compound as solvent, we use this compound as a solvent. We use this compound also as a solvent. Dichloromethane, chloroform, carbon tetrachloride, we use these compounds as the solvents in many organic reactions, right? This is based on this classification is based on the number of halogen atoms in the molecule. Coming to the another type of classification, this is all the halogen compounds are of monohalogen compounds, having 1 chlorine in the molecule. And if you look at these monohalogen compounds, again these monohalogen compounds are classified into three types: primary alkyl halides, secondary alkyl halides, tertiary alkyl halides. This is based on the nature of the carbon atom attached to the halogen, right? This classification is based on the nature of the carbon atom which is attached to the halogen group. You see here the nature of the carbon atom, here it is primary, because this carbon atom is further attached to one alkyl group, and here the nature of the carbon atom is secondary because it is further attached to two alkyl groups. Therefore this alkyl halide is called as secondary alkyl halide. Here if you see the nature of this carbon atom, this is tertiary because it is further attached to the three alkyl groups. Therefore this carbon is tertiary and this alkyl halide is called as tertiary alkyl halide, right? Based on the nature of the carbon atom which is attached to the chloro group, here the alkyl halides are classified into three types: primary alkyl halide, secondary alkyl halide, tertiary alkyl halide, right? And of course apart from these halogen compounds, in which you see here, this is a sp3 carbon atom. This is the sp3 carbon atom. Yes or no? Because it is connected to, it is having 4 sigma bonds, 1 2 3 4 sigma bonds totally. Therefore this is the sp3 hybridized carbon, right? So generally we see not only these halogen compounds but also, that is alkyl halides, but also we will see the halogen compounds where the halogen group is attached to the sp2 hybridized carbon, that is vinyl chloride, and this is also sp2 hybridized carbon. This is the chlorobenzene, right? These two are the alkyl halides in which the halogen group is attached to the sp2 carbon. Whereas we will also come across these two type of alkyl halides, that is allyl chloride, benzyl chloride. This carbon is called as benzylic carbon, therefore this is called as benzyl chloride. This carbon is called as allyl carbon, we will call it as a allyl carbon, allyl, right? This is called allyl carbon, therefore this is allyl chloride, right? And whenever we say that a particular halogen is reactive or non-reactive, it is said with reference to the nucleophilic substitution reaction, right? Whenever we say a halogen compound is more reactive or less reactive, that is said with reference to the reactivity of the halogen compounds in nucleophilic substitution reactions. So please note this point, that whenever we say a particular halogen compound is more reactive or less reactive, that is said with reference to the nucleophilic substitution reaction, right? You see here, this is an example of right, this is an example of halogen compounds in which the halo group is attached to sp2 carbon atom, and these two are examples of halogen compounds in which the halo group is connected to the sp3 hybridized carbon, right? And coming to the general properties of alkyl halides, generally we see CX bond in the alkyl halides, yes? And if you see, this is the more electronegative atom, right? Because of this more electronegativity, the sigma bonded electrons are partially displaced towards electronegative atom, and it gets partially negative charge, whereas the carbon gets partially positive charge. And this small positive charge generated due to the inductive effect. What is inductive effect? Inductive effect is nothing but the partial displacement of sigma bonded electrons towards the more electronegative atom is called inductive effect. Because of this inductive effect, this carbon atom in the alkyl halides get partial positive charge. This is a very good site to attack by the electron rich species, that is nucleophile. So therefore our alkyl halides are a very good site for the attack of electron rich species, that is nucleophiles. Therefore always in the alkyl halides there is a possibility to attack for the nucleophile, right? So alkyl halides will undergo nucleophilic substitution reaction, in which the halogen group is replaced by the incoming nucleophile. So you can see here I have shown here this X is replaced by another nucleophile. This is a nucleophilic substitution reaction in which halo group is replaced by the another nucleophile. Here one nucleophile is replaced by another nucleophile. This is a nucleophilic substitution reaction. Of course our alkyl halides will also undergo elimination reaction, right? Here we can write this X here also, right? You no need to bother about it. What happens here? There is a elimination of a HX group from the 1,2 positions. This is called 1,2 elimination reaction. This is called 1,2 elimination reaction. From one position we have removed the X group, from 2 position we have removed the hydrogen atom. This is the 1,2 elimination reaction to give double bond product, that is alkene as the product. This is the elimination reaction. So all halogen compounds will undergo 2 type of important reactions, that is a substitution reaction, especially nucleophilic substitution reaction, in which one nucleophile is replaced by another nucleophile. Our halogen compounds will undergo elimination reaction, in which it will loses 2 hydrogen atoms from 1,2 positions to give alkene as the product, right? Now let us discuss in detail about the nucleophilic substitution reaction in halogen compounds, right? We can replace this halogen group by any nucleophile to give this product, that is a substituted product, which is of nucleophilic substitution reaction. Here the nucleophile may be hydroxynucleophile, aminonucleophile, or alkoxynucleophile, cyanonucleophile, or acetato-nucleophile, or hydroxythionucleophile, right? In this way our halogen compounds are much reactive and will undergo nucleophilic substitution reaction to give variety of compounds like alcohols, amines, ethers, alkyl cyanides. In this way we can prepare variety of organic compounds. That's why these halogen compounds are very good important tools in the hands of synthetic chemists, right? And if you look at the mechanism, this nucleophilic substitution reaction will takes place via 2 mechanisms, that is a unimolecular nucleophilic substitution mechanism or bimolecular nucleophilic substitution mechanism. Here very simple, we have to write the product by replacing the halogen group with the nucleophile. But here the question is whether the given alkyl halide will undergo substitution reaction, that is nucleophilic substitution reaction, via this mechanism, that is unimolecular mechanism, or bimolecular mechanism, right? So let us know about these 2 types of mechanism, that is unimolecular nucleophilic substitution mechanism, bimolecular nucleophilic substitution mechanism in detail in the coming slide. You see here what is a unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. In this, the rate of the reaction is directly proportional to the concentration of the alkyl halide. It does not depends on the nucleophile. For example, here I am taking the nucleophilic substitution reaction in which the nucleophile is hydroxy group. Here the nucleophile is hydroxy group. How to write the product? Very simple. We have to replace the halo group with the hydroxy group. Here the X group is replaced by the hydroxy group. Here this is the nucleophile which is replacing the already attached alkyl halide, right? Here in this, if at all in this nucleophilic substitution reaction, if the rate is only depending on the concentration of the reactant and it is independent of the concentration of the nucleophile, then those type of nucleophilic substitution reaction is called as unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. This is a first order reaction. It is independent of concentration of the nucleophile. Here the rate of reaction only depends on the reactant molecule, that is alkyl halide, right? And if you look at the mechanism, it takes place in two steps. In the first step, the cleavage of alkyl halide takes place. The bond between the carbon and halogen group in the alkyl halide takes place to give this carbocation. This is the first step. And if you look at the rate of this step, this is a very slow step which we come to know by performing the reaction. And in the second step, this is the second step. In the second step, the formed carbocation in this first step will be attacked by the incoming nucleophile to form this product, and this is a fast step, right? So this is the mechanism. This unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, here the rate is directly proportional to the reactant molecule and it is independent of the concentration of the nucleophile. It takes place in two steps. In the first step, there is the cleavage of bond to give the carbocation, which will further in the second step attacked by the incoming nucleophile to give the alcohol as the product. Here in this, the formed carbocation is of sp2 hybridization, which is a trigonal planar structure, right? Trigonal planar structure, because carbocation is a trigonal planar structure, and this is the intermediate formed in the nucleophilic substitution reaction, right? This is the intermediate formed in the unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, right? And coming to the bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. In this bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, the reaction is same, that is alkyl halide reacts with a nucleophile, and here the X group is replaced by the hydroxy group. The product, how to write the product? It is very simple. We have to replace the X group with the hydroxy group. But here, if this reaction takes place via bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, then the rate directly depends on the concentration of the reactant as well as the concentration of the nucleophile, right? And here in this is a second order reaction, right? What is order? What is order? Which we discussed this term in the kinetics, but right now I am giving you the definition of order. What is order of a reaction? Order of reaction is nothing but it is the sum of the powers of the concentration terms involved in the rate equation. This is called rate equation. What is rate equation? It is a equation which shows the relationship between the rate with the concentration of the reactants. How the rate depends on the concentration of the reactants. That is called rate equation. This is the rate equation. And in the rate equation, the sum of the power of the concentration terms is called order. You see here the sum of the powers of the concentration terms, 1 plus 1, that is 2. Therefore, this is the second order reaction. And if you look at the mechanism, this is the mechanism. This is the mechanism, right? It takes place in single step. This is a single step mechanism. Whichever the reaction takes place in single step are called as a concerted mechanism, right? Here this bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction is a single step mechanism, that is a concerted type. In this, both the cleavage as well as the attack of nucleophile takes place in single step from the back side. Here the cleavage of already attached old bond and the attack of new bond takes place simultaneously, right? Here the attack of nucleophile from the back side and the cleavage of a chloronucleophile from the front side takes place simultaneously to form this product, which is of single step. This is a concerted mechanism, right? And let us discuss the nucleophilic substitution reaction, that is unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, with an example. Here I have taken this tetrabutyl chloride as the product. This tetrabutyl chloride as the product. This is the tertiary butyl chloride, right? Tertiary butyl chloride. This tertiary butyl chloride, in this the carbon atom is of a tertiary carbon, and here for this we use the reagent, that is aqueous potassium hydroxide. Only this aqueous potassium hydroxide only will supply the hydroxy nucleophile. If we take alcoholic KOH, this alcoholic KOH is different from the aqueous KOH. This is used as a base. Whereas here this is used as a nucleophile, right? Now you got the difference. Aqueous KOH will act as a nucleophile, alcoholic KOH will act as a base, right? For nucleophilic substitution reactions, always we have to take the aqueous potassium hydroxide as the reagent. In presence of aqueous potassium hydroxide only, the substitution takes place. Whereas in presence of alcoholic KOH, elimination takes place. What happens? Elimination takes place, right? And here, right, how to write the product? Very simple. We have to replace the chloro group with the hydroxy group. But coming to the mechanism, it takes place in two steps. Just now we have discussed that unimolecular nucleophilic substitution takes place via two-step mechanism. That is, in the first step, that is cleavage of this CX bond to form carbocation intermediate. This is of a slow step, right? In the second step, this is the second step, right? This is the second step. And here you see the carbocation intermediate is of a trigonal planar structure, because this is a sp2 hybridized carbon. You see here, this is the sp2 hybridized carbon, because it is having 3 single bonds, 1, 2, 3. Therefore this hybridization is sp2 hybridization. Therefore the structure is trigonal planar structure. This is a planar structure. And here this nucleophile will attack on this carbocation, that is trigonal planar carbocation, in the second step, which is a fast step. And here there is a chance of this nucleophile to attack from the back side as well as from the front side. This is of front side, this is of back side, right? Two sides. The nucleophile will attack from the front side, that is shown in a thick line, whereas you see this is the thick line, whereas the attack of nucleophile from the back side is shown as dotted line, that is back side of the plane of the molecule, to give these two compounds, right? These two compounds, right? This is what about the mechanism of nucleophilic substitution reaction. Very simple. It takes place in two steps. In the first step, we have to remove the bond to form carbocation intermediate, which is of sp2 hybridization having trigonal planar structure. This is the first step. And in the mechanism, whichever the step is a slow step, that determines the overall rate of the reaction, that is called as a rate determining step. In the rate determining step, you see here only one molecule, that is alkyl halide, is participating in this rate determining step. Therefore this is called as unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, right? If only one molecule is participating in the rate determining step, then its molecularity is unimolecularity. That's why we will call this substitution reaction as a unimolecular substitution reaction. We'll designate this as a SN1 mechanism, right? What is SN1 mechanism? This is a two-step mechanism. Why we will call it as a SN1 mechanism? N means nucleophile, S means substitution, nucleophilic substitution, and its molecularity is 1, therefore unimolecular substitution reaction. Why here the molecularity is 1? How do we decide the molecularity? Molecularity is decided based on the rate determining step. What is rate determining step? Whichever the step decides the overall rate of the reaction. Generally, slow step will determine the overall rate of the reaction. This is the rate determining step. In the rate determining step, only one molecule is that is alkyl halide is participating. Therefore, this is a unimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. Right? Here you see here I have told you that these two compounds are formed in the SN1 mechanism, and these two compounds are equivalent to one another. That is, these two are homomers. These two are homomers. What are homomers? Which are superimposable to one another. They are nothing but homomers. They are one and same. They are same compounds. Right? Because this carbon is a achiral carbon. Since this is a achiral carbon, in this finally in the SN1 mechanism we will get the same, that is homomers as the product. Right. Coming to the energy profile diagram of the nucleophilic substitution reaction, this is the diagram. On the y-axis I have taken the energy, on x-axis this is the reaction path or the reaction coordinates. Right, this is also known as reaction path. Right, at the left side I have taken the reactant. This reactant is converted into product. This is the reaction path, and this reaction is taking place via intermediate, that is carbocation intermediate. This is the carbocation intermediate. Yes or no? Yes. And this takes place in two steps. This is the first step, this is the second step. Right? And the reaction energy diagram of SN1 reaction shows that shows why the rate is independent of a nucleophile. I have already told you that the rate of this reaction is directly proportional to the alkyl halide, but does not depends on the hydroxy group. Here the rate is independent of nucleophile concentration. It does not depends on the, there is no relationship between the rate and concentration of the nucleophile. Right? In SN1 mechanism, the rate does not influenced by the concentration of the nucleophile. The rate only depends on the concentration of the alkyl halide, which we will come to know from this energy profile diagram. Right? Here you see here in the first step there is a formation of carbocation, which is of endothermic in nature. This is endothermic, right? Endothermic with a larger activation energy. Large activation energy is required. Therefore, this is the slow step. This is the rate determining step, right? And once the carbocation intermediate is formed, it will be attacked by the nucleophile very fastly in the second step. And here the activation energy is very less. This is the activation energy for the second step. Here the activation energy is very less, whereas here the activation energy for the first step is very high. Right? Here the activation energy is very less for this second step, and here it is a exothermic in nature. Right? This is the exothermic in nature. You see here, right? This is the exothermic in nature. Therefore, as soon as the carbocation is formed after the first step, the nucleophile readily reacts with the carbocation and forms the product. Therefore, the rate does not be influenced by the concentration of the nucleophile. Rate only depends on the concentration of the alkyl halide. Right? And coming to the bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, with an example I have taken here ethyl halide, that is ethyl chloride. And again for this also we have to take this aqueous KOH as the reagent which supplies the nucleophile, that is hydroxy nucleophile. And how to write the product? Very simple. We have to replace the chloro group with the hydroxy group. But here the question is, this reaction takes place via bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction. That is a single step mechanism, right? If you see here in the first step, what happened here? There is the attack of nucleophile from the back side, and this cleavage of bond takes place simultaneously. That is, you see here, this is the new bond, that is formation of new bond, cleavage of old bond, takes place simultaneously at a time, right? At a time, the cleavage of old bond and the formation of new bond takes place simultaneously, right? This imaginary state, which is written in the square bracket, is called as a transition state. It is not called as a intermediate. This is the transition state. What is the difference between the intermediate and transition state? Here, intermediate. What is the intermediate? Carbocation. We have seen in the SN1 mechanism. In SN1 mechanism, intermediate is formed, right? Intermediate is formed. Whereas in SN2 mechanism, transition state is formed. In transition state is a imaginary one, whereas intermediate is a real one, right? This is imaginary. There is no evidence for this formation of a transition state. Imaginary, right? This is a imaginary state, and there is no formation of this transition state during the reaction course, right? This is an imaginary one, and this is a single step reaction, because this is an imaginary one. This is a single step, that is concerted mechanism. What is concerted reaction? The reaction which takes place via transition state in a single step is called concerted reaction. Is a transition state single step reaction is called concerted mechanism, right? So in bimolecular nucleophilic substitution reaction, both the formation of new bond, cleavage of old bond takes place simultaneously. That is transition state, which is of imaginary state, and its evidence for the formation of this transition state during the reaction course, there is no evidence. It is an imaginary one. It is a single step mechanism, and it is a right. Now let us discuss the energy profile diagram of a SN2 mechanism, and this is the energy profile diagram. Here I have taken energy on the y-axis, reaction path, that is the reaction coordinates on x-axis. I have taken reactant on the left side. As we move from left to right, we will get the product. This is the product formed here, and if you look at this, this is the activation energy for the formation of a transition state, right? And if you look at this, this is the exothermic in reaction, because here if you see, there is a difference in the energy between the product and reactant. This difference in the energy between the product and reactant is released during the reaction. Therefore this is the exothermic reaction. This is of exothermic reaction, right? This takes place in single step. This is a single step mechanism, that is concerted mechanism, right? And thus, in short, the alkyl halides will undergo two important reactions, that is substitution reaction as well as elimination reaction. If we try to compare the reactivity of alkyl halides among the alkyl groups, you see here the tertiary alkyl halides will undergo very fast substitution reaction via SN1 mechanism, whereas the primary alkyl halides will undergo reaction via SN2 mechanism, right? Because here the tertiary alkyl halides will easily form the carbonium ion, that is carbocation, because the tertiary carbocation is a stable carbocation. Tertiary carbocation is a stable carbocation. This cation is formed very easily. Therefore, the tertiary alkyl halides are more reactive than the secondary, than the primary, right? So this is the, you see here, this is the reactivity of alkyl halides, that is a reduction reaction. Our alkyl halides will undergo reduction with variety of reducing agents, that is with the lithium aluminum hydride or with the metal in presence of hydrogen, that is maybe nickel, palladium, platinum in presence of hydrogen, or tin in presence of hydrochloric acid, or in presence of zinc copper couple, sodium ethanol. Our alkyl halide, that is ethyl bromide, is converted to ethane, right? Similarly, ethyl iodide will undergo reduction to give ethane in presence of hydroiodic acid, that is in presence of red phosphorus, right? And our alkyl halides will also used to prepare the organometallic compounds like Grignard reagent, dialkyl zinc. Here this should be removed here, and here this is the tetraethyl lead, here this is the ethyl lithium, right? In this way we can prepare the variety of organometallic compounds by interacting with the alkyl halides with the metal by taking dry ether as the solvent. We will get here Grignard reagent, that is ethyl magnesium bromide. In this case we will get the diethyl zinc as the organometallic compound. This is the tetraethyl lead, which we use this as an anti-knocking agent in petrol. Here this is the ethyl lithium, and we know these organometallic compounds are the very good source of carbon anion, from which we can form the CC bonds in the various organic reactions, right? And if you try to summarize what we have learned about the halogen compounds in this video presentation, we have seen that halogen compounds are do not occur in the nature. They are purely synthetic. They are very reactive. They will undergo substitution reaction as well as elimination reaction. And here the substitution takes place via two mechanism, that is SN1 mechanism. This is a two-step mechanism, and SN2 mechanism, this is a single step mechanism, right? And right now I think you are feeling very comfort, right? You are feeling very comfort with what we have learned in this video presentation about the halogen compounds. And if you have any doubts, please post your questions or doubts in the comment section. There your questions will be answered. Finally, here is a proverb for you: nurture the nature for the future. Please protect the environment for the future. Thank you for going through the video presentation.